The following is a conversation with Tina Miller. She's the founder of Victory High School, a high school recovery program for young kids here in Tampa Bay, Florida, where society has given up on them and has turned their backs. She gives them a second chance at life and not only equips them with the tools necessary to survive and navigate the real world as they grow up, but also give them a sense of hope. Too many times when people discuss things like suicide and drug abuse and mental trauma, we focus on the adults. And then when it comes to discussing kids, we often write them off as just troubled hormonal youths. I am guilty of this train of thought myself. We forget to humanize them, and we forget that they're human beings, no different from the rest of us who are just experiencing a very human experience of the real world, which can be extremely tough. But through care and connection and love, I believe that we can overcome all things and give everybody who needs it a second chance at life. Tina Miller is easily one of the most inspiring human beings I have ever met, who does amazing work helping amazing people and amazing children grow up to be great and amazing members of society. This conversation is extremely heavy and may not be comfortable for some people to listen to because of the topics we discuss, but I would encourage you to listen to the entire conversation, the entire way through, because while the topics that we discuss are heavy, there is a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. And if we never go through the dark periods of our life, we never emerge from the tunnel and see the light on the other side. Tina Miller does amazing work, and I believe we are all capable of amazing things as well. Now, my friends, without further ado, this is a conversation with Tina Miller. Thank you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. Welcome, Tina.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate you having me.
No. It's my pleasure. Well, when we met like about a month and a half ago, and we were just talking at the taco place about the stuff you do, I was like, oh my God, like this is like really incredibly amazing work.
Thank you.
Because you run a recovery high school.
Yes.
Which I never even thought about. I was like, oh my God, that's a thing.
It is now.
And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I was equally horrified because of the fact that it exists means that there is a huge problem that needs to be solved.
Yes.
But I'm also very thankful because it's a solution. What you're doing is you're working on the solution.
Yes.
To the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a little bit more research. I'm like, oh, this is very widespread.
Yes.
Because when most people think of people in recovery, drug addicts or drunks or whatever, they're thinking people like you and I, grown adults who've been through the ringer of life. No one ever, very, very few people think about the high school kids and younger.
Yeah.
So all of that begs the question, why and how?
So the why is because I needed it as a teenager. Mm-hmm. Because I had gone through childhood trauma and rape and domestic violence and all of that. And so I resorted to escaping and numbing that pain through substances. So I really needed this as a teenager. And then I got sober at 23 years old, and I was in college, and there was like nothing for young people. Nothing. I started in two AA meetings for young people in Akron, Ohio. That's where I was born and raised in Ohio, and I got sober in Akron, Ohio. And so I was fortunate to be right there at the birthplace of Alcoholics Anonymous, with Dr. Bob's house. And
that's
all
really
of that.
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. A lot of history. And they have Founders Day once a year, and there's like 40,000 people that come from all over the world. It's just so cool. It's a really great like mecca, of recovery. Great community to get sober in. And so I started young people's AA meetings because I was the youngest person in AA meetings and 12-step recovery programs. And I thought, man, there's a real need for this. And so I started the meetings, and then I moved down here in 2009 to Florida and started doing, I worked for the Department of Juvenile Justice and worked in social work. And I kept seeing young people that when they were locked up, they could get sober, get a little time under their belt, and then as soon as they went back home or to their traditional school, they would relapse.
How young are we talking?
Oh, I was 9 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah. 9, 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, yeah. I've seen, I've worked with a lot of victims of human trafficking, and I've worked with them as young as 9 years old too. So it's really sad what our young people are going through nowadays. So that's the why, is because I knew there needed to be something, a safe, healing-centered environment for young people in recovery. And so that's what I created, was Victory High School. And we opened April 2021. And I'm a woman of faith, and I prayed, and I said, if I get one student, I'll open, and I got 2.
Oh, hey.
So I started with 2 students and volunteers. And I started the nonprofit in May 2020. I opened the school, and it's changed a lot since day one, because of course when you write something down, a business plan 5 years ago, and then implement it, it changes a lot.
Oh yeah.
Because, at first when I wrote the business plan, I was like, these kids, they need to have 30 days sober before they come to Victory. I'm lucky if they have 30 minutes,
Yeah.
So that's what we do now, is we take young people and just give them a safe, healing-centered environment. We're all trained in trauma responsive services, because 94% of our students have had childhood trauma. Actually, 85% of my students have been adopted. So it's a very high percentage of our young people that have been in foster care, severely abused and neglected.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just a little paranoid. I just gotta make sure this is on. Okay, we're good. This one time I was filming and I forgot to turn that camera on.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Luckily the important one was on.
Okay.
So I'm always paranoid now. All right, but sorry, back. All right. 9 years old?
Yeah. Yeah. I had one student that his dad forced him to smoke marijuana.
Forced him to?
At 5 years old.
At 5?
Gunpoint, yeah.
At gunpoint?
Yeah. So as you can imagine, this young man did every drug. By the time he came to my school, he did every drug, and he struggled majorly with mental illness.
How old was he when he got to your school?
17. Yeah, and he had the education of like a 4th grader.
12 years.
And he was still using.
There's people who their lives get rocked in 3 years.
I know. So it's a huge problem, and the reason why I opened Victory High School in Pasco County is because of how many overdoses, ages 10 to 17. There's like 24 overdoses in 2021, I think it was, or 2020, I can't remember. But
just in Pasco County?
Just in Pasco County, from ages 10 to 17. Yeah, 24 young people died from overdoses.
And we're just talking about young, as in 18 and under. We're not even talking about adults.
Ages 10 to 17.
Ages 10 to 17.
Yeah. So it's heartbreaking when you look at the statistics and you look at what's really happening in this, community. And so so the first Victory High School will be in Pasco, which that's where we're located right now. And then I'll open one here in Hillsborough, and then Pinellas and Manatee.
Wow. So if I'm correct in my research, this is the second school of its type in Florida.
Yes.
One of 40 or something?
So there's 47 recovery high schools throughout the nation. And we were,
That's really small.
number 46. I know. Yeah. So the executive director in Jacksonville at the Recovery High School, it's called River Oak Center, and he mentored me before I opened Victory High School, and it's just been an incredible, mentor and friend. And then so we opened the second one And then Orlando opened a virtual recovery high school.
Oh, wow.
And so they actually have students from Georgia, North Carolina, Florida. And so there was a huge need for virtual school as well. So they opened that one.
Gotcha. So how many students do you have right now?
So I have served 11 students since April of 2021. So we're a very small school. The reason being is because they need a lot of one-on-one attention. As you can imagine, not only just the supervision, but also, we provide mental health services, recovery support, and then an education. And so a lot of our students have learning disabilities. A lot of them are really behind with their credits. And so we help them, get that. And we had our first graduate in July.
Ooh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. She was with us for a year and a half, and she was my first student. And she graduated with a grade point average of 3.11 with an 87% attendance rate.
Wow.
Which is amazing. The majority of our students come to us and they're expelled or they're suspended from their school. So a lot of them, if they did go to school, they were high. Yeah. And so, they come to my school and they're like, this is the first school I don't have to get high or drunk to come to.
You don't have to. So they're in their minds, they're thinking that in order to go to school, they have to be intoxicated.
Yes.
Is that because of societal pressures that exist within the schools themselves and their peers, or because they're...
I think there's a few reasons.
Probably.
I think societal pressures and just, fitting in with that group. The one thing we know, being persons in recovery, is we always, at least I'll speak for myself, I always had the sense of I didn't really fit in. I didn't feel like I belonged. And so that's the one thing that I really have worked with my school, so that our students, they feel like they belong, and that they come to school and they have a place to go, and they call it their own, and we meet them where they're at. So I think the peer pressure, and I think also because of their learning disabilities, and they were always called a failure. I had one student who was constantly called a failure. You're a failure. You might as well. This is what someone had said to an adult that works in the school district, said, you'll never learn how to tie your shoe, let alone live on your own. So you might as well just quit going to school right now. That's what an adult said to one of my students who was 15.
How do you say that to anyone?
To anyone, right?
Especially someone who's in the youngest part of their life, where they have all the potential.
He was told that at 10 years old. And when do you think he started using drugs? 11 years old. So for 4 years, he's getting high every day, and then comes to my school. And actually, I have a story. He would work really, really hard and try not to get high, and really try at school. We had to get him actually a punching bag, because he would punch the concrete and then blood would be splattering everywhere, because he would be going through withdrawals. And he'd be so angry, and because he was in foster care when he was little. And that
your body vibrates when it goes through withdrawals.
Oh, absolutely.
Violent vibrations.
Yeah, and in his stomach, he had real sharp pains in his stomach, and he was vomiting. And so I was just walking with him outside around the perimeter of the basketball court, and he was, punching the concrete, and I could see, tears starting to come. And so I just sat there and just said, I'm right here with you. I'm right here. Have a seat whenever you're ready. I'm going to be right here. And I just kept reassuring him, I'm here for you. And then he sat down with me, and then he just let loose and started crying and just shared with me. He's like, I've just never had somebody that loved me this much. And just, he had then relapsed later that week, and his mom had him in the car. She was taking him to the emergency room. And she was on the phone with me, and I could hear him crying. I just don't know why Miss Tina loves me so much. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could do that, if I could help these students feel like they belong and actually give them purpose, then my job is done. So that's really what we do at Victory High School.
give people purpose. No, that's the most powerful thing in the world, because we're all creatures of human beings are always trying. We're explorers, we're engineers, we're we're always trying. We're scientists. We're trying to figure out, like, understand the world around us. We're artists, and the only way we can do that is by having a purpose. And I feel like, just in my own life, from things I've seen, a lot of people get stuck because they don't have a purpose and they don't know what to do. But the people who thrive the most are the ones who find a purpose, because when you have a purpose, it gives you direction to direct all your energy, and it's life-saving when somebody discovers a purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's what gets you up every day, you know, is your purpose. If you don't have a purpose and you're lost and then also hopeless, it's a recipe for disaster. And so, one of the sayings that I've always liked in recovery is, pour me a drink, and so isn't it true, right? Yeah. When you're not grateful and you're the victim, and then it's, pour me, and, pour me a drink. And that's what we teach our students, like, be grateful for the little things in life, and we also teach them that they're lovable, and that they're compassionate and they're caring, and that they're not their diagnosis or their label. So many of our students are, slapped with a label, and then they live up to that. I'll give you an example. One time I was in an elevator. I worked for the Department of Juvenile Justice, and I'll never forget walking into the elevator, and there was a man that had just gotten out of prison, and he had his ID badge. And I remember he had his son with him, and his son looked at the ID badge and said, "What are all those numbers, Daddy?" And he goes, "That's who I am." And I stood there and I looked and I was like, whoa. It's so sad to me that people that are incarcerated think that's all they are. It's just that number, and then when they come out, then they're a felon, or, And so that's what I really try to break, that stigma with my students. You're not just an addict, you're not a junkie or a drunk.
You're a human being first.
Yes, yeah. You're a human being, you're a spiritual being. And let's dig deep and get to know what your gifts are and what are your strengths that you're going to offer this world. So that's the coolest part of my job. There's a lot of doom and gloom and, heartbreak, but there's also a very cool part, putting a guitar in a kid's hands that hasn't played without being high, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm better." Yeah. And it's like, yes, it's that kind of stuff. Or, one of my students was a really great artist, the one that just graduated in July. I mean, incredible artist. So that was really cool to see her artwork and how it's transformed. Since she's doing better now, it's not real dark and gloomy and all that. Now it's more about bright colors and life. So it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. You should put her in touch with my Muay Thai school, because my Muay Thai school, we have a bunch of murals on the outside, and we're thinking about finding some artists to, like, do some cool things.
I'll tell you what she's really good at is, I'll show you some of her work, but like silhouettes, and then like sunrises or sunsets, and then cherry blossom trees. She does the best trees, like, she's really gifted. Yeah.
So this is really cool that you're rebuilding their lives from the ground up.
Yes.
So you mentioned, like, the age range of the kids in recovery. In your school, is their age range that wide, or are you just focusing on high school kids?
It's 14 to 19 years old. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, physically, they're, 14 to 19 years old, but emotionally, they're mostly elementary, middle school, mostly elementary school.
And they're all in one classroom right now?
Yes.
Learning the same subjects?
So we have a customized online curriculum. Mm-hmm. It's specifically for this population of students. Mm-hmm. And so
this population being those in recovery.
Those that have learning disabilities, that are behind, that, haven't succeeded in a traditional school. Yeah. So they need, more one-on-one attention, more supervision, and and just, they need breaks. Our classroom's not that typical desks and sit, No. It's one big table. We have chairs around, we have bean bags, we have an exercise bike, we have balancing boards. We just have an array of different things. So if they want to get up on the exercise bike, they can do the exercise bike. We do equine therapy with horses once a week. So every Tuesday we go to Clearwater. It's called Inspire Equine Therapy. And so they get to do that, which is really cool because most of our students are afraid of these huge horses.
What is equine therapy?
It's with horses. And so they actually go and they train the horses to do different things.
That's really cool.
It is very cool.
That is so cool.
It is.
My school sucks.
I know, right? Yeah, it is super cool. They love it.
And do you have a physical exercise program for these kids?
We do. We do different fitness classes. They do yoga, meditation, sound healing. They also do expressive art therapy, drumming, and visual arts class. And we've done boxing classes. We've done how to make sushi. We had Dang Good Sushi come in, and they helped us. They taught us how to make sushi.
Oh, sweet.
And we've done chocolate-covered desserts. We've made those hot chocolate cocoa bombs that you put in, hot water, and then marshmallows come spewing out. It's so good. But
this must do a lot to just inspire their creative side and just get the gears turning of all the things that are possible of just different skills for the rest of their life.
That's right.
Because this is more than just arts and crafts. These are exposing them to hard skills.
Yes.
That are very important to developing a good life.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, this is something that normal schools don't even do.
I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we want to teach them how to, sew a hole if they have a hole in their sock, or how to balance a checkbook, or that kind of stuff. How to complete an application. A lot of our students don't even know how to do that. A paper one.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go into stores and they apply for a job and they get handed a paper and they're like, what do I do with this? They're used to going online and applying, but just to have that paper application and walk them through that process. We help them put together resumes. We help them if they're being interviewed at a job. What are some things that are appropriate to say? What's acceptable at the workplace, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we just walk them through all of that and hope that they learn something as they go through life.
Gotcha. So what is the qualifications that they need to graduate then? From a school like yours?
They actually have at least an 18 credit curriculum that they can complete, or they could do the 24 credit. So it really depends on if they want to pursue a huge university, then they would probably go for the 24 credit curriculum, or 18 credit. They could go into a community college in that, I believe. So it just really depends on the student, where they're at with. Not every student's going to go to college.
Yeah, for sure.
And so some of them.
College isn't for everybody.
Exactly, yeah. So some of them might want to pursue vocational trade, a trade school.
Be a mechanic.
Exactly, yeah. We just did a field trip to a mechanic shop, actually. It's a guy in recovery, and he opened his mechanic shop. And so we went in, and it was super cool. Yeah, so the kids got to sit and, talk with him, and, he talked recovery with them, and it was awesome. So yeah, that's what we do is we try to connect them as much to the community as possible, because that's really going to be where their success is. I want them to be successful in Victory High School, but I also want to bridge that so that they're successful in the community.
For the outside world.
Yes.
Yes, this isn't just about memorizing facts and graduating. This is about developing hard skills and getting in touch with the community and
absolutely
building a better world.
And connecting with that recovery community, that, and there's different pathways to recovery. I've actually exposed them a lot to the Phoenix. We've had a lot of people come in from the Phoenix. We've had Pete come in and do, he shared his story, and Brittany's been in there. Tony came in and did fitness over a year ago. Jamie came in and did yoga, and Jeremy did boxing with them, you know, so we've always incorporated the Phoenix, and you know, just teaching them different activities that you can do that's fun. Mm-hmm. You know, when I got sober at 23 years old, I was like, that's it. My life is over.
It felt that way, didn't it?
Yes, I was like, I'm never going to laugh again. This is it. Like, I really, I thought my life was over. But what I realize now is it just began at 23.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, it just began. Yeah.
So these kids that are so young and went through all this trauma at probably the most pivotal developmental phase of their life, how are their social skills? Because I imagine it's taken a hit, like a huge one, and how do you go about helping them re-socialize from such a devastating place? So
it's interesting because I'd say the majority of my students are very how do I say it, socially inclined to fit in. You know, they're like that chameleon. Yeah. They can fit in anywhere. So what we actually have to teach them is where they could be manipulative in a negative way, let's turn that into a positive and be a leader. You know, where they could be maybe lying, let's turn that into a positive. Okay, you're creative. You could tell stories, you know, like, so that's what we do is we take their character defects or shortcomings, whatever you want to call it, and we transform them into positives.
It's basically sociopathy at that point.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, where maybe they were into drug dealing. Well, gosh, you're an entrepreneur. You're great at sales, you know, yeah. Which the majority of us in recovery have, you know, all these qualities that could be used for negative. And so if we transfer them into positive, you know, I'll speak for myself. When I worked for the Department of Juvenile Justice, I used to have to negotiate $1 million contracts with agencies, and I used my skills I learned on the streets, you know? Yeah. So it does work for you when you do get into recovery.
Mm-hmm. And how well has it, and how has that been working so far with the kids? Like, do they pick up on it? Are they resistant, or?
So it's interesting because I think it takes months for them to realize. What they used to be told was, you know, you're bad, you're a failure, you're, you know, and now it's like taking that energy and that control and putting it into, okay, this is what you can control, and this is how you can transform that. So it's a lengthy process. I would say 9 months to a year is about how long it takes for that whole process, for them to realize, you know, because it's just emotionally, you know, when you're called a failure and you're called, you know, worthless and there's no hope for you, and they come to us and that's how they feel. They feel lost, they feel beat up, you know, wore out. And so it's like, first and foremost, we just have to keep them alive. Mm-hmm. Like that's our first goal. Let's just keep them alive. And then 2 is to emotionally and mentally stabilize them. And then we'll teach them. But yeah, we have to get to that point where they're stabilized emotionally.
Mm-hmm. I would also imagine that when they first get to your school, they're very apprehensive and they're very closed off. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if there's this process that you have to try to like crack them, well, maybe not crack them, but you know, just to like
scared straight,
get them to open up, get them to warm, get them to. You're gonna listen to me. No, don't. No, I know you're not doing that.
You know, it's interesting. Is everyone's first impression? I mean, every parent guardian that has ever contacted me, they're like, he needs to go through a scared straight program. I'm like, actually, it's the opposite. Mm. So that's the approach we take is, you know, for example, I had a student that the other day that, you know, had gotten into some trouble or, you know, he made a bad choice. And he ran away from school, and so instead of chasing him down and calling the police to tackle him and arrest him and all that, we followed him, make sure he was safe, brought him back to school. And then when he saw me, I could see the tears. And when I went up to him and I just hugged him and I said, "I love you and I'm glad you're safe." And he just started crying his eyes out. And this kid's like almost 6 feet tall, and he's 15. And he just starts crying. And he's like, "I've never had someone that has like cared about me so much." And so that's important for them to know, like, I'm more concerned about your safety. You're running down the highway, like I'm concerned about your safety, and I'm concerned what led you to that behavior. I'm not gonna, there's no sense in suspending him or expelling him, because what he needs is to be in school and to receive the mental health services that we have and to work on that, So when a student relapses or a student has that type of behavior, that tells me that we need to really dive in deeper and support him more and connect more, and give him more of a purpose.
How many students relapse?
As
a percentage?
I would say every single one of our students has relapsed at least once over, I'd say at least 6 months. We've had that. We had one student that actually relapsed, and that's all it took, one relapse. And he was like, "I'm done. Like, this is it. I'm done." And that happens a lot of times, I think, with people in recovery. Yeah. When you get that little taste of freedom and clarity, and then you relapse and you use substances again, we're kind of a buzzkill. We're in recovery and then we relapse. It's kind of a buzzkill. It's like, oh man, yeah, this kind of does suck.
Yeah. It's kind of like the grass really is greener on the other side.
Yeah. It is. There's so many gifts with recovery, and that's one of the biggest things that we teach our students is, it takes time to build that trust up again with your family. Their parents, they've been through it too. I'm not going to just say it's, it's the parents' fault. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that, the parents have been hurt. And the trust has been broken with that child. So that's something that we teach them, is that it takes time to build up that trust again. I remember when I had 90 days sober, and I remember I asked my sister to borrow fingernail polish. I said, "Can I use that fingernail polish?" And she held on to that bottle. And I'm like, "It's fingernail polish," I'm like, it was $1 for God's sake, Yeah. And she's like,
She thought you were going to steal it, or?
So I said, "What is your problem?" And she goes, "Well," and she let me borrow it. And then I used it. I gave it back to her the next day, and she cried. And I said, "What are you crying for?" And she said, "Because that was my little bit of trust that I just lent you, and you returned it." She's like, "That's the first time you didn't sell it, you didn't steal it, you didn't throw it away, like you respected that I gave you something and you returned it." Mm-hmm. She's like, "So you gained a little bit more of my trust." And so when I think of that situation, I think, my gosh, that's just fingernail polish. But remember,
for her.
Yeah, we're talking about
a relationship.
Yeah, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about, there's so much more love, we're talking about so much more than just a fingernail polish. But yeah, so that's huge for our students.
100%.
And their families.
Are you students staying at the school, or do they?
No, they just come and go.
Okay.
they come at 9 a.m. and they stay till 3 p.m. and then they go home. Okay. Yeah, we don't want them to stay. I need a break.
Gotcha. Because one thing that does like I've been in recovery. You've been in recovery. We've seen it where people they do very well, but as soon as they leave whatever facility they're in, and they go back home, they go back to their neighborhood, they go back to the same group of friends. Is there a way that these
what tools are you giving these kids so that they go back to that environment with stronger defenses?
So I wish I had the silver bullet. I'd be making $1 million. I would not be sitting here right now.
No, this is a $1 trillion problem.
Yeah.
This is a global problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With every age, children up to adults.
Yeah.
And, every part of the continuum of services, if it's inpatient, drug treatment, outpatient, 12-step recovery programs, you name it. This is one of the issues that people have in recovery is, one of the things they tell us is to change people, places, and things. Well, these are teenagers.
How do you do that when you're 14 years old?
I know. You can't change your family, right? And so some of the things we teach them and we process, and it feels like a broken record actually every day, and we just teach them what they have control over. Because a lot of our students come to us and they are labeled oppositional defiant disorder. Well, all that tells us is that they want some control in their life, right? They want some autonomy. They want a little independency. And so we teach them, you can get that. Let's get a job. Let's do this, let's do that, let's try to get your driver's license, let's try to, find what kind of extracurricular, I have students that like airsoft. Okay, well, if you like airsoft, then, let's see, where can you go for airsoft and what kind of people are there and, how much does it cost and when did they meet and, what equipment do you need, and just kind of explore those different options and try to get them to do other things, that are those sober activities and that. And then also reminding them about, their mental health is important. Setting boundaries with their family members and friends. Mm-hmm. And part of that is, we know we have a student that's serious about their sobriety when they start to tell their friends, hey, I'm sober, because that's huge. I remember when I first got in recovery and it's like I had to change, I was living at college with a keg on my front porch, and I was living with a drug dealer, so it's like I had to tell these people, like, I'm sober. I'm not playing that game. I'm not running that game anymore, So it's like when you start to set those boundaries with your family or your friends, I think that's really important. We teach them that. We teach them healthy coping mechanisms, journal, to write or, type in their notes on their phone or listen to music or, exercise. That's a huge one. I have a student trying to stop nicotine, and that's what he's like, should I do push-ups? What should I do? I'm like, just run, get out there and run. Well, unfortunately, he did that the other day down the highway.
Oh, that's one who ran away.
He's like, I'm just running. No, but just teaching them healthy coping mechanisms. Okay. Yeah, everything we learn in recovery. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, if just replace that activity with something else, because
that's healthy.
Yeah, because you can't run if there's crap going into your lungs.
That's right. Yeah.
Do you teach them like the rubber band one as well?
No, I haven't, but my mental health specialist might have. We also they get individual mental health counseling as well, so I'm sure they probably have learned that type of stuff too. Mm-hmm.
How involved are their parents in their education?
So now the parents are very involved. I talk to them just as much as I talk to my students. So that has finally changed. At the beginning, we had some students that their parents, I wouldn't even talk to their parents or guardians. They just didn't care. They looked at us like a babysitting service, and they would drop them off, and that was it. They wanted no part of their recovery. I would say we've had a few parents that were using substances probably as much as the students, and so they didn't really care. They didn't support that student, and so that was tough. That's really tough. So something that we're implementing now is that parents have to be involved. I think charter schools have that. rule where, a parent has to be involved if their kid attends a charter school. And I could understand that. And so that's what we're going to be implementing. That the student's success is really based on the family's success altogether.
1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
How are the parents involved then? Is it just through a conversation? Hey, this is what we're doing.
So I constantly text them or phone calls or emails and just keep them up to date. We have realized that it's important for us to keep them updated on their progress. So weekly, I will let them know, this is the progress that we've had with your child, and because that's important. They're not used to that, They're used to getting that call, your child's in the office, and they're going to be expelled.
Yeah.
So they're used to that, or your child is truant and not, at school right now, or your child's hi, can you come pick them up?
No, usually in most schools, a call to a parent from the school is a bad thing.
That's right.
They don't ever call, hey, by the way, your son got an A, your daughter won the state fair.
Yeah.
Which is very backwards.
I know, isn't it?
Voicing it out loud. We should be celebrating kids' successes.
That's exactly what we do.
Highlighting, hey, your kids got issues in my class.
Yeah. That's exactly what we do. We celebrate their success. Yeah, I know. It's amazing, right? Mm-hmm. But that's one of the things that I teach. I do staff development trainings with companies and that's one of the things I teach is you got to celebrate your staff.
You have to.
You got to celebrate. I got to celebrate my students, and so that has been really cool to have, build that relationship with the parents. And it's also building trust again, with their child. So, my child's actually showing up at school, attending school, not getting high, and learning something. Well, this is great,
Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
Have you seen cases where parents who are on drugs or alcohol and then they change because they see what their kids are going through?
Yeah, actually, we've had a few parents that have quit using, drinking and using drugs because they're like, my child is actually this one mother said, I got my baby back, for the 15-year-old. She says, thank you, I got my baby boy back. And that is oh, wow, that's cool. That is really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we do.
You're more than just teaching kids.
Oh, yeah.
You're actually changing an entire community.
Yes, yeah, I hope. One at a time. Yeah. Just planting the seed, Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. So how do people find out about your school then? Because until I met you, I had no idea this was even a thing. Granted, I don't have kids, but
that's all right. I would suggest people go to www.becomejust1.com, and what that is my link tree, and so they have different options. They can learn more about our school, Victory High School. They can. We have a fundraiser event. They can buy a ticket for a fundraiser event. They can buy a t-shirt, we sell these cool t-shirts. Our students actually, they cut the vinyl out and they actually press the t-shirts at school.
So that was made by your students?
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And so we have different, we use the same font, but we use different colors. So it says Hope Dealer. And that's just, something they came up with, the design. And
the kids came up with that?
Yes.
They created that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So they make it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we sell that just for a fundraiser event because we're, nonprofit and we're a private school. So it's important, that we have some type of funding. I like to eat.
Yeah. Now I imagine running the school is very expensive.
It is, and that's what, I think some people just think, oh, you just appeared out of nowhere, but, it took years to develop this whole business plan and strategic plan, and it took many, many hours of fundraising, and years and years of
Sleepless
fundraising.
nights.
So, yeah, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in it to win it, so I'll keep doing it.
No, this is amazing. So that first student who graduated, what is she doing now, and where is she headed?
So she's actually in transition of jobs right now, but her and I are going to be speaking at a mental health conference this Friday together.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Where at?
So it's in Clearwater.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called the Hope Conference.
So cool.
So yeah, I've gotten her some speaking gigs. We'll be speaking up in Pasco County for their recovery walk, September 9th, and so yeah, we have a couple different speaking opportunities, trying to keep her focused on, taking care of her mental health. And we're hoping that she pursues something. We're trying to get her like an art job because she is a painter, and she also does tattoos.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, we're just, feeling out kind of where she wants to be and what she wants to do. And she's kind of tossed around college and that, but, I'm not pressuring her, just here for her. I was talking to her all day today. She's needing to move out and get a place of her own, so helping her with that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So you're still involved even though they graduated?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Because this is a young girl that was in foster care. She went into foster care when she was 5 years old. She was in foster care for 2 years and then adopted. She got kicked out of her adopted home at 18, which was just in June. So she graduated in July. So yeah, we're working with her, trying to get her stable housing and get her a job, and just kind of focused on what, the future holds for her.
Gotcha. How did these students come into this school? How did they find out?
So their parents or the school, maybe their past school, drug treatment centers refer them.
Gotcha.
Mostly parents. They find, we've been on the news quite a few times. My graduate from July, Christina, she's been on the news. Again, I think two times they've done a story, 2 different stories on her. And one in October and then one just in July. And so people, see us on the news, and we always have at least, 5 parents, guardians that contact us from, I saw you on the news.
I want to learn more.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you started with 2 students, now you're at 11.
So we've had 11 throughout a year and a half. So right now we're at 2, and we have 3 more that are supposed to be coming on board in September.
Okay. And you follow the typical September to June?
We're year-round.
You're year-round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is, the students are always reluctant. You had mentioned about, what maybe they feel like when they first come to our school. And at first they're like, I don't want to be here, and then after 2 weeks or so, we love on them. And then they're like, all right, I like it. Yeah. They're like, I never thought I'd say I'd like school. But yeah, it's a pretty cool concept.
No, it's an amazing concept. I wish I had things like this available when I was a kid.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, at our fundraiser event, it's going to be a dinner and a dance because our students are like, can we have a DJ? Most of them haven't been to homecoming or a prom. So I'm like, okay, we'll get a DJ and dance floor and you guys can tear it up. So that's what we're going to do, get them all dressed up. So it's pretty fun.
Gotcha. So how have these kids impacted your life?
Oh, I love them. I was blessed with one son. I have a 16-year-old son. And I lost his twin when I was pregnant. And so I wanted to have like a lot of children, but I just squeezed them out, And so I was blessed with him, and I became a licensed therapeutic foster parent. So I had a teenage foster son, and that was 10 years ago. And then I had some emergency surgeries in that, and I couldn't have any more children. And so I remember praying, and I was like, I wanted 10 kids. I'm like, why, God, why? Why can't I have any more kids? And God said, you're going to be a spiritual mother to many. And so that they're my kids, I love them and I care about them just as much. They all have my personal cell phone number. They text me, they email me. I keep a constant connection with them because, there's been situations where they run away from home and they still come to school. We had that with Christina. She ran away from her adopted home, and the sheriff come to our school, and they're like, "What is she doing here?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about? She's been here every day this week." And they're like, "But she's a runaway." And I look at her, I'm like, "You're a runaway?"
You didn't even know.
No, she's still coming to school. So that told me that, we're doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
If they're coming to us and it's a safe place, they're getting fed, they're learning, but more than that, they have a connection with us. That's important to me. So, I treat them all like they're my kids, and because they are, in a sense. So I think that's important. They say, statistics show that if adolescents, if they have one positive adult in their life. So I might just be that one positive adult in their life.
One positive adult in their life, and they live a better life for the rest of their life.
Yeah. So what it is actually it prevents suicide, and it helps them in recovery to be substance free.
And the kids that you're working with, this isn't just drug abuse. This is just like trauma. This is
everything you can imagine. ADHD, depression, ODD. I had a student had schizophrenia. I've had students that had very low IQs. I had students on the spectrum for autism. And so we just. It's pretty cool because all of the trainings and everything I've gone through my whole life, I've been able to use with this job. It's like, I was certified in applied behavior analysis with children with autism back in 2001. And I just did that for a weekend, job. And now it's like I find myself using that, and where I was a licensed therapeutic foster parent. Now I see myself using that, helping my students that were in foster care and that. So it's pretty neat how that works.
Do the parents also have your personal number as well?
Yes.
And have they become close with you also?
Yes. Yeah, they have. And I it's neat to kind of coach them along. Not only am I the principal of the school, but I'm also a coach, a parent coach, and I kind of take that role on, and especially with the mothers, I can share with them like, hey, mother to mother, you're doing a good job, that kind of stuff, because it is hard, when you're a mother and you want to nurture your child and you want to, love them back to life, and sometimes that's enabling. So it's teaching them that kind of stuff.
No, I think one thing I've learned in life is parents always want the best for the kid, but they don't always know how.
Yeah.
Because of certain things that they've been through, and if they only know how to express through aggression.
Yes.
It does a number on not just the kids, but the parents as well. And there's nothing more heartbreaking than something you see there's something you've poured your heart and soul into, and then seeing it get crumbled.
Yeah. So it's just helping those parents to have hope, to keep that hope.
The parents have to have hope. So you're helping the parents gain hope on top of helping the kids gain hope.
Absolutely. I'm a hope dealer.
No, I'm getting one of those shirts.
Good.
All right. Wow. Just have you? I'm almost hesitant to ask this question, but I feel like it's a very important one, and I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Have you ever had any cases where the students didn't make it?
So far, my 11 students for the past year and a half, they've all made it in the sense of that they're still alive. Some of them have relapsed. Some of them have struggled with homelessness. Some of them have had some mental illness relapses and have had to be locked up, for, and when I say locked up, I mean like in a psych ward and, have their medication stabilized and their housing stabilized and all that. So in the sense of like death, I haven't had any that have actually died from my school, but a lot of recovery high schools have had a lot of students that have died. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I've had a student that was very close to death. The one that I told you about was punching the concrete and all that, going through withdrawal. He had a condition that every time he would use THC, that he would violently vomit. And it's an actual condition. It's like called CHS or something. But anyways, he was, vomiting for 9 days. He got to the point where he was so dehydrated that he ended up having seizures. And he had a seizure at nighttime. So he ended up in the emergency room. And all children's. He was down at all children's for a week then. So that was really, really scary. And we thought for sure we were going to lose him. But, kids are resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it.
Yeah. Yep.
How's he doing now?
He's at another school. He is struggling. That's another thing is I keep in contact with the parents even if the students are going somewhere else, just to keep up on them and offer any kind of support that I can. And his mom said, he is still struggling, and so just hope that he finds some hope and finds his way.
He's at a different school?
Yes. Yeah. He's at alternative school.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Because of his behavior and that. So he's at a different school. Mm-hmm.
Wow. How do schools typically deal with losing a student?
So the other recovery high schools, they have a grief support team that comes in with grief counselors, and they do their best, to counsel the students and talk about it. I think the worst thing that schools can do is not talk about it. Yes. That breaks my heart. There's a lot of suicides. There's 94 suicides just in Pinellas County in the past 3 years of young people. And, from middle and high school. And it breaks my heart. These schools aren't talking about it. And that is the worst thing you can do. It's like these students need to be heard and they need to grieve. Let them grieve. So
why don't they want to talk about it?
Oh, because of the stigma of suicide. And they think that if they talk about it, then everybody will want to, kill themselves. And it's the opposite, If you don't talk about it, that's when they feel alone and they feel hopeless.
I've had 3 suicide attempts, and I would have given anything to talk to someone about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't even talk to my own family about it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started talking about it that my life turned around.
Yeah, that's right. I know. I remember in recovery hearing a saying, it's called, "You're as sick as your secrets." And I remember thinking, dang, I'm pretty sick. I was like, whoa, yeah, I am pretty sick. I better do something about, I want to get better.
I got some closets that are full.
Yeah. So, once you start to share that, and what I love about sharing that type of stuff is once you share that, then someone else is like, hey man, I've been there. This is what I did to get out. This is what helped. And that makes all the difference, because when we have those secrets and we, I literally was in the closet. I didn't start talking until I was 3 years old. And then when I was a child, I was in the closet. I literally would sit in the closet with the closet door shut when I was little. I would not talk to anyone. And I just, held it all inside and just really struggled. And I started writing, but yeah, I always suggest, encourage people to talk, just share it.
No, that's actually why I do these podcasts, because I believe that talking and building human connection,
yes,
face to face, not through a 6-inch screen,
yep,
is the way to solve the problems of the world.
Yes.
And I want to introduce that concept to the world. I mean, that concept already exists, but I feel like a lot of people aren't aware that it exists.
Yeah, we lost it. I think during COVID, we lost a lot, God. But we really lost connection face to face.
COVID the disease didn't destroy people. It's everything we did.
Isolation and and that's when people are struggling with addictions or mental illness, that is the worst thing to do, is isolate.
Yeah, and we shut down gyms and parks and beaches.
Yeah. Why?
This disease targets people who are of weak health or who are physically unfit, and it dies in direct sunlight.
I know. Why close down a beach? Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So back to the school, back to everything that you're doing. Not to get too political. I mean.
Let's talk about hope dealing.
Let's talk about hope dealing. Who came up with that phrase? How did you guys come up with that?
I think one of my students.
They came up with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, because I think we were sitting around. It was funny because it was when I first opened the school. I had about, I think, 5 or 6 students. We were sitting around and they go, "Dang, Miss Tina, you must make some bank." and at the time, I didn't get paid. I wasn't getting paid. For 6 weeks, I didn't get paid. And I was like, actually, I haven't been paid in 6 weeks. And they're like, "Why the hell are you here?" And I said, "Because I love you guys. Like, I want to be here for you guys, Mm-hmm. As long as you're here, I'm going to keep the doors open and be here, And they're like, "What the heck is wrong with this woman, Like, why is she, why is she here? So I just kept coming back, and sure enough, the money came, and I'm not a millionaire at all. I'm not even close to 6 figures, but, I do it for the outcome.
No, education systems, people typically don't get into that for the money.
Yeah. No, It's definitely for the outcome. Mm-hmm. You have to have that passion and that purpose, to really want to help and transform people's lives.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, that group, we were sitting around and they were like, "You're a hope dealer. That's what you are." Now they call me the plug of the plugs.
The plug of the plugs.
because you know what a plug is? It's a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll delete this part. But
it's okay. We're fine. That's not the worst thing that's been said in this.
Okay, good. But they're like, Miss Tina's the plug of the plugs, because I know so many people, and I have a lot of resources, and so they think I'm a plug. I'm like, I'm not a plug. I just am a networker. Sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a networker, and I know people, and I, get resources and that, but mm-hmm. Yeah, they're funny.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what's next for the school?
So we're trying to get more students. I'm going to have to hire more staff, and because that's the main thing is I could easily have 25, 50 students, but I want to make sure they have a quality experience at Victory High School. I don't want to jam in all these students just to have them. Like, I want to be able to provide, quality mental health services and recovery support and education. So that's something that, we're slowly growing. I would love to have 25 students by the end of the year, mm-hmm. but, we'll do our best to try to get, at least maybe 14 students. And then we have another student that's going to be graduating in December. Yeah, 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he'll be graduating early. So he's really rearing to go and super excited, and we're excited for him. He's one that he's kind of venturing, maybe he wants to do mechanics, but now he's kind of into like 3D printing, airsoft parts and all this stuff. So he started his own little business doing that. So it's pretty cool.
Do you know Bill?
Bill.
He's in the Phoenix. He's a big, big dude.
Yeah.
You should introduce him to him for when they're at the what's that place called? A hackerspace.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah, because if he likes 3D printing, if he likes mechanics, if he likes tinkering, hackerspace is like will be his playground.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to reach out to him. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Yeah. No, and he would love to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
See, you're a plug.
of information.
Yes, a plug of information.
Yes. Have you ever had to turn down students?
Yes. Yes. So there's two disqualifiers. One being a sex offense and one being violent offense. So I've had to turn down students that have had armed robbery charges, gang involvement. One student had a loaded gun and took it to school, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so. So if they have charges like that or sex offenses, rape, molestation, I can't. We rent a space in a church, and the church has a preschool. So we can't have those type of felonies.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that all of my students are, squeaky clean, because some of them have some charges, but it's grand theft or,
breaking and entering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trespassing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The typical things that troubled youths do.
Yeah. Well, especially those of us that, drank and used drugs. I mean, especially when you're young and you can't go to a bar and drink, where are you going to go,
I'm going to see, how old was I? I'll forget. I would sneak into my friend's grandma's house because she was very close by, and would drink in her backyard without telling anyone.
Yep.
Just leave bottles and vomit everywhere.
Yep. Good old days. So fun.
Yeah, she called me one day. She's like, "Were you drinking in my grandma's backyard again?" I'm like, "What do you mean again?" She's like, "Yeah."
That's the one thing I don't miss, is the vomiting and diarrhea and all that from alcohol. Oh, yeah. There's nothing I miss about it.
Yeah. No, that night was like 3-4 locos.
Ugh.
No, it was not a good anything.
Yeah. So that's my story.
Gotcha.
Stick it to it.
Do you guys do like AA style meetings?
So we do support groups. Unfortunately, a lot of our students have had a negative impression of 12-step, because when they were in residential drug treatment, 12-step recovery programs were used as punishment. And so was religion. So when they come to me, they're usually atheists and totally against 12-step recovery.
And you, which is what AA is, and you said you're renting a space in a church. So that's already one hurdle.
Yes.
That's in their mind.
Yes.
In the beginning.
Because they think, oh my gosh, it's a Christian, because my logo is a dove. And so they're like, what are we, the fighting doves? I mean, go fighting doves. But yeah, so that's true. That's one of the hurdles. That's why I really, hope that we can raise money from fundraising in that, so that we can get a building. And then what I'm going to do is have my student that's an artist my other students are into graffiti, you know, and they'll decorate the whole building inside, and we'll have pool tables and air hockey and, you know,
punching bags.
Oh, all kinds. It'll be so, and then we'll have a memorial garden where we'll honor a lot. We work with a lot of mothers actually that have lost their children to overdoses. So we'll have a memorial garden to honor all of those that have passed on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
This is incredibly beautiful work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Like I'm actually probably gonna promote this video harder than I've promoted any other video before.
Well, thanks.
Just because
I appreciate it.
I mean, again, like it's like how we opened this conversation. Like, I'm as equally horrified as I am inspired, because the fact that your solution exists means that there's a problem that needs to be solved, and it's a widespread problem.
Yes.
And unfortunately, like, it's the stigma that exists around recovery, depression, trauma, rape. People don't want to talk about these things. But
yeah.
This stuff needs light shined on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So it's just, you know, giving hope, and that people deserve second and third and fourth chances.
Yeah. Whether you're a kid or an adult.
Yeah.
Wow. So has the Phoenix been involved in this? Like other? Oh no, yeah. You said Pete has been there.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And any thoughts about having a Muay Thai kickboxing
Heck
instructor
yeah.
come through?
Oh my gosh, they would love that.
Oh yeah.
They'll try anything. That is the one thing I will say. Like, we had a pop and lock class one time.
Oh, that's really cool.
I was learning how to pop and lock.
All right.
You know what that is?
Yes, I do. I'm actually something I don't really.
Were you a b-boy?
I was a b-boy.
You were?
I love the fact that you know the actual term.
Oh my gosh!
I love that you didn't say breakdancing. That
no,
you know
b-boy. You get the cardboard box.
How do you know about?
I grew up in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. My sister can actually do.
Yeah. It's been over 10 years since I've done anything.
I had a party in April for all my girlfriends, because I had so many friends that have passed away, and I was like, why are we celebrating life when people die? Mm-hmm. So I had this huge party in April for all my girlfriends, and I flew my mom and my sister down. And it was like all out. We had dinner, we had dancing. It was just so much fun. We DJ, all this dessert table, you name it. And it was just the best time. And the best was that my sister started breakdancing.
No way.
Yes.
I've got to meet your sister.
So I have videos. I'll show you. I have videos. I got videos of her. She's 50, gonna be 52.
She's 52 and she's still breaking it down.
As soon as the music comes on, man, she just tears it up.
Just throwing some Run DMC.
It's hilarious.
Some Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Was she the one who taught the class at this?
No, no, it's Prodigy. We partner with Prodigy, which is a program, a nonprofit within Tampa Bay here. Mm-hmm. And they teach music. They're a cultural arts program, and so they teach music and art and dance and, oh goodness, you name it. They do all kinds of classes.
That's so cool. Yeah, they're really cool. So do you do anything outside of your school for recovery as well, or?
No, I only do my school.
it's probably like triple the full time.
No, are you talking about me personally?
Yes.
What I do? Okay, so I'll go to Celebrate Recovery meetings sometimes, mm-hmm. or I'll do AA meetings, the Phoenix. Mm-hmm. I go to church, and I love the beach. You know, like I always say, some people smoke crack. I go to the beach, you know, like just to lay there and listen to the ocean, smell the salty air, and It is incredible. I'm like, some people snort Xanax for this. I go to the beach and, I'm relaxed. And it's where I find my zen. I love the outdoors. I love nature. I actually just competed in a bodybuilding competition last year at 46 years old.
How'd you do?
I got 6th place.
Ooh.
Out of 6.
But you competed.
I competed. It was a 45 plus year olds. It was the old lady category.
You did something that was tough. That
It was very tough.
Required training, required discipline, required some grit.
Absolutely, because it's all up here.
It's 1,000% up there.
Yeah. So and 90% nutrition. 10% working out. Yeah. But it's all up here.
Yeah, no, like one of the things that people think is they think muscle is built in the gym. It actually isn't. Calories are spent at the gym. Muscle is built at the dinner table and in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize.
Yeah, when you're sleeping, that's when you're recovering.
You have to have 8 hours.
Yeah, that's when the cells in your muscles are rebuilding themselves,
that's right.
Getting stronger. The gym is just calories. You're building calories, and you're doing the repetitious movements or whatever it is to build calories and get your muscles moving. But the building is in the food you intake and the rest that you get.
Yes.
And if you're not resting, if you're not eating correctly, doesn't matter what you're benching.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Gotcha.
Because I'm rebuilding again. I'll compete next year. And then I also was in a pageant, a Miss Corporate America pageant in June. Yeah, or was it July? No, June.
This year's flown by.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I can't believe it's almost September, but. So I was part of that because it was for women in business and leadership in the community. And so I actually got first runner-up.
Ooh!
For Miss Corporate America.
That one.
Yeah.
This is a big table.
Yeah. So that was cool. I think I'm kind of going through like a midlife crisis. I don't know what you call it. I'm like, I need to prove myself. I don't know. No, the whole bodybuilding thing was because I wanted to finally match my inner strength to my outer strength.
Ooh.
Deep,
I
right?
like that.
Yeah. So that was the whole reason why. Plus, it was a 20-year dream.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for 20 years I wanted to do it. So.
Yeah. So, all right, Tina. What's next for you now? Now that you're doing all
I'm going to be the president of the United States. No, I'm joking. No,
you're too smart for that job.
I do not have a political bone in my body. So I'll get more students. I'm writing my 6th book.
Ooh.
I've been writing that for like 2 years, but my first book took me 14 years, so I'm okay. But so I'm writing my 6th book, and then I'll probably compete again, next year for bodybuilding. And then I will hopefully open a second school here soon. I'm hoping in Hillsboro or Pinellas. I'm not sure which one yet.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest need is, so.
Definitely let me know if it's in Hillsboro. Cause
okay.
I'll go about getting some volunteer work done in there.
Awesome. Yeah, we're always looking for volunteers.
Yeah, because
and we need males.
Because I'm definitely in because I do the Muay Thai program for the Phoenix here in Tampa.
Oh, awesome!
And unfortunately, most of our guys live here, and if we had some guys in Pasco, I'd be like, all right, I got to put you in touch with them.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, I'm still gonna ask around anyway.
Okay.
But see if I can get some coaches involved. But if it's Hillsboro,
that would be awesome.
If it's in Hillsboro, I know at least 2 that would 100% I'm in.
Oh yeah, just have them come up, or we'll come tour a place or meet you guys somewhere. We can do that.
Okay.
We do field trips all the time.
Hey, come down to Tampa Muay Thai.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's over by Armature Works.
Oh, okay.
It's just a Muay Thai kickboxing school, So we teach kickboxing the Thai style.
Oh, nice.
So instead of punching and kicking, there's also elbows and knees.
Is it during the day?
Our gym is pretty much open from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m.
Okay, let's plan that I can take the boys during the day someday.
Yeah, they're gonna love it.
Okay.
I know they're gonna love it.
Okay.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, my one student's really into MMA.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're definitely gonna figure that out. All
Okay.
right, perfect.
Cool.
All right, so, all right, 2 more questions. All right, what kind of impact would you like to have on the entire world?
I think letting people know that there's hope, no matter what your circumstances, no matter what your medical diagnosis, no matter what your financial situation, no matter what anything, society, what society says about you, if you're in recovery, is that there's hope, no matter what, no matter what your circumstances. I think that is so important. I think people are fearful and they really have a hard time trying new things, and so it keeps them complacent and it keeps them comfortable, but we have to step out. We have to step out, try new things, and take a leap of faith. And that's what I did. I quit a really great government job to, start this nonprofit, but there's hope. And I just kept thinking, there's hope, there's hope, there's hope. And so that's what I would like to impact the world in.
Awesome. Any closing statements? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to?
No, that's just that there's hope, and don't quit before the miracle happens. That was another saying that I learned in recovery. Don't quit before the miracle happens, and that I can't tell you how many times I've hung on to that. Yeah, a lot. It's just I'm not going to quit living until the miracle happens.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find out more about you, or if they want to get in touch with you?
Oh, they can go to tinatalkstruth.com. So I'm a speaker, a comedian, and an author.
You're a comedian?
Yeah, I do comedy. Yeah.
Where do you do your shows at?
Just at churches.
Okay.
I do Christian comedy.
All right. I got
And
you.
so, people can go to tinatalkstruth.com, find out about me.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely excited. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thanks.
Wonderful stuff.
Appreciate it. All right.
That's really cool.
Good job.
No, you're the one.
Man, you got a lot.